So I was watching Tenzin Wangyal Rimpoche's video on um, what's it, dream yoga, and he did it in like two sections. So he did a lecture, a teaching, and then a question and answer, and then he did a meditation at the end. So when he went to the meditation, I took a break. I did my 21 prostrations in front of Shittigarba, which he says, that's where he wants me to be with that. I've done it in other places, and the Buddhism muttered, and everybody seems happier that I did it over there. And then I moved out here to my seat and did the visualization or the breathing exercise. He did a salung exercise. So one of the things, Bon tends to teach, it doesn't always teach a formless way, utterly formless way. If you get his books, he talks about more structured ways with mantras and visualizations and stuff. In some of the Rime teachings, you do the Hari Nisa on there are lots of different dream yoga visualizations. Visualizing the Tibetan letters, visualizing your guru or green tarot in the center. There's another one, Hari Nisa is one of them, and I can't think of the second one. But then there's your chakras change colors in dream yoga, Asuni tree pray do, or sometimes it's Asuni pray tree do. I've seen it both ways. Where white remains white, red turns to yellow, dark blue turns to light blue, yellow turns to red, green turns to ashy colored, and then you have another chakra, which is just smoke coming out your feet or the top of your head, depending on how you do it. These are things that he was talking about, the clear light dream practice, in which you focus on just relaxed awareness. You're neither dreaming nor awake. I do this quite a bit. As far as becoming lucid in the middle of my dreams, it varies from time to time, but I spend a lot of time every night neither awake nor asleep, aware that my consciousness is moving on its own, aware that I'm drifting in and out of sleep. And this is the awareness that you practice before death, and he talked about that. Now, I believe that his primary guru is Thubten Norbu, who is the eldest brother of the Dalai Lama, as far as we know, the eldest brother. And he was in his 20s when the Dalai Lama was born and lived here in Bloomington, came here in 1951, and who I regard as my own guru. But his Tenzin Norbu persona was a lapidary who made this necklace, but also was a very, very, very celibate man, despite the fact that he was married and had family here in Bloomington. And Tenzin Wangyal, in the persona of Khenchen Palden Sherab Rinpoche, my guru mentioned him as someone who, I think they diverted him from Gelugpa. He was a Gishi, and they diverted him from there to practice Bon because he is fairly normal for a Tibetan monastic, but he's not. We all have our nailed down issues, and his is that he is very tense and deflective, and also not really salient. I was playing with my hair, and he was telling me that he could feel the texture. And I was saying, well, you should apply that to the goddesses, and he was like a little startled that I seemed to know him already and was feeling like that I wanted to remain very still. And that a lot of the times these guys are not salient of when they've kind of like crossed a few lines and stuff like that. So I pointed out a few, but where he is nailed at is very strong and secure. I was just checking for like, loose shingles and stuff, because those things can come off and fall on people's heads and in an unannounced way. And just pinging him, because I have a suppleness that I could ping him and see just how far things could go. But I'm also, women sometimes are forbidden from becoming celibate, even if their husbands are primarily celibate. And part of that is just to sustain flexibility. But it means that, I can kind of switch horses in the middle of the stream and of consciousness. So when he was describing different things that we were doing in the meditation, I'm always ever playful, and so I was doing some of the Sukha Siddhi visualization, the Dharmadaya tetrahedron in below my navel. When he said, the sky blue in the heart, I imagine looking up through my cranial aperture and then shooting a consciousness, an ashi of himself, his own tulpa, up through the crane of my head into that sky up to Akanishta. Of course, he got startled and said, "Nuh-uh." But then I did a brief verbalization of what I had just done. So that's one of the ways that I'm dangerous, is that, I wanted to follow my guru and have the same problems as his, in that he had looked at so many different schools that they made him a Kenshin, because he couldn't vouch for his students to follow a specific method. And I don't know if there's anything like a Kenshenma, but I'm a lot like that.